the most people don't have any real idea of how things are made these days. The vast majority of the population no longer, certainly the West, works in factories making goods and services.
Including the economist who has spent most of his career debunking the fallacies of mainstream economics.
We break it
Newsflash,
down for you, Mark.
people who work factory floor generally aren't the same people who design the product. And that same economist has product development backwards. I'll play the clip for you and then tell you why this is upside down.
Because if you imagine bringing on a new product, like for example, an electric bicycle or electric car,
Yes.
you can work out what the components are needed to make that. So you get all the what we normally call variable costs, the metal you've got to buy, the electricity, the labor, and so on, and that gives you a price level. And then the question is, well, how many units of this can we expect to sell? And what size factory do we need to make those units? Then you get your fixed costs, which come out of that. And then your calculation is, well, given the size of the market, the segment we're selling into, can we expect to break even or make a profit given those fixed costs? And those considerations come through to you determine what markup you can set, and you'll also look at, well, what's the current markup? What are our competitors currently marking up the cost of electric car, et cetera, et cetera.
That sounds really reasonable, right? It's like, well, what's wrong with this? How can this be backwards? Why is it wrong? The answer is quite simple. Economies of scale. Because in order to efficiently, reasonably, realistically calculate economies of scale, you need to start with a volume and a price point first. Because with a volume and a price point, you can directly calculate what your manufacturing price point has to be in order to be profitable. Here, the top-down process is working from knowns to other derivable knowns with a manufacturing volume and a manufacturing price point in mind. Design teams, typically engineers, then get to business, selecting materials, form factor, feature sets, quality requirements, in order to achieve a product that people will actually want to buy. In addition, the engineering team, engineering group really, can amortize the cost of development because many of the products share functionality. Anyone who's used a camera has probably changed the focus, probably changed the f-stop, fiddled around with other features of the device in question. That all comes from hardware and software engineers working together to produce that functionality, which is included in other projects. The engineering team has just amortized the cost of development. Everybody saves time. Engineers are very happy. Needless to say, I hope I don't need to point this out, but I'm going to do it anyway. Those common chips, shared chips, now become another economy of scale. One less thing to worry about over multiple product lines. And now they have a little more budget for distinguishing bits of technology. For cameras, it's largely lenses and sensor, CCD, CMOS device. I don't even know what technology they're using these days. That really distinguish product lines in terms of quality from each other. And then camera element, the sensor, CMOS or CCD, whatever technology they're using these days. Generally, the manufacture of those elements is a little bit finicky. For any batch of chips coming out of a factory, some chips are just going to be better than anything else in the batch. And manufacturers, chip manufacturers of these devices, Sony is one of them, will always save the best chips for their own product lines. They can sell the other chips to other device manufacturers. Canon was well known to buy chips off of Sony, but they always knew they never got the best chips out of Sony. Yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbles. If you don't make your own chips, you have to make do with what the market offers. This sortition also applies across product lines within Sony. The best CCDs go to the highest margin products. That's just smart business. I wanted to take a little time diving into how companies actually get their economies of scale. There's a lot of subtleties to it. Maybe at the macro level, this isn't very interesting, but even rebel economists who have dedicated their lives to bringing academic rigor to an occupation noted for its lack may not be entirely authoritative describing how the world actually works. And it can be a little bit tricky knowing when they've moved off of well-researched information to anecdote.